The massive viewing screen aboard Earth's furthest observation post showed nothing but fire and destruction. Admiral James Walker stood frozen, his weathered hands gripping the command rail as he watched the Valoran homeworld burn. 20 years of friendship and alliance were ending in flames. "Sir," another distress signal, the young communications officer said, his voice shaking. "It's from the Valoran High Council chamber." Walker closed his eyes for a moment, remembering the peaceful gardens where he had first met the Valorans. They were the first aliens to peacefully contact Earth, sharing their knowledge and helping humanity reach the stars. Now their cities were being reduced to ash by the Galactic Council's warships. "Play it," Walker ordered, though every fiber of his being screamed against hearing his friend's final moments. The voice that filled the command center was filled with static and fear. "Earth. Friends. The Council ships. They came without warning. Our shields, useless against their weapons. Billions dead. Please, remember us. Don't let them. Civilization built on peace. Don't." The transmission cut off. Walker's jaw clenched as he watched another Valoran city disappear in a flash of light. The Galactic Council's ships moved with cold efficiency, their energy weapons cutting through Valoran defenses like paper. The peaceful Valorans had never built weapons of mass destruction, believing in diplomacy and understanding. "Get me Earth Command," Walker said, his voice steady despite the rage building inside him. "They need to see this. All of it." The massive Council warships continued their systematic destruction of Valor Prime. Their sleek, silver hulls reflected the light of the fires they created, making them look like angels of death. The Valorans had only a small defensive fleet, mainly designed for protecting against space pirates and natural disasters. It was like watching children's toys trying to fight battleships. In the 20 years since first contact, the Valorans had shared their advanced technology with Earth freely. They helped humans understand faster than light travel, gravity manipulation, and energy shields. But they had always warned about the Galactic Council, a supposedly peaceful organization that governed most of the known galaxy. The Valorans had refused to join, seeing something dark beneath the Council's polished surface. Walker remembered the private conversation he had with the Valoran High Speaker just 6 months ago. The tall, gentle alien had expressed growing concern about Council movements near their borders. "They speak of peace," the High Speaker had said, "but their actions whisper of war." Earth had taken those warnings seriously, but no one expected the Council to move so quickly or brutally. The Valorans' only crime had been helping humanity advance, sharing knowledge freely instead of keeping Earth isolated and primitive like the Council preferred. A new alarm blared through the observation post. "Sir, Council ships are changing formation." "There?" The tactical officer's voice trailed off in horror. Walker watched as the Council fleet arranged itself in a precise pattern around Valor Prime. He had studied enough military history to recognize what was coming. "They're going to crack the planet," he whispered. The Council ships fired in perfect synchronization. Their energy beams converged at specific points around the planet, creating a web of destructive force. Valor Prime's crust began to break apart as the core was destabilized. Walker thought of the billions of Valorans who had already died, and the millions more who were about to. "Send everything we have to Earth Command," Walker ordered. "Every second of footage, every transmission, every sensor reading. The Council thinks they can hide this behind their propaganda, but the truth will get out." The observation post's crew worked in stunned silence as they watched Valor Prime tear itself apart. The Council ships maintained their pattern until the planet's destruction was complete, then disappeared into faster-than-light travel as smoothly as they had arrived. Walker finally turned away from the viewing screen, his face set in grim determination. The Galactic Council had just made the biggest mistake in their long history. They thought they were destroying a primitive species' only ally, ensuring Earth would be easy to control or destroy. Instead, they had just started a war they weren't prepared for. Because what they didn't know, what the Valorans had helped Earth hide, was that humanity had been preparing for this day. Deep in secret shipyards throughout the solar system, Earth's own warships waited, vessels that combined Valoran technology with humanity's talent for warfare. The Council thought they had removed Earth's only protection. They were about to learn just how wrong they were. The emergency meeting room of Earth's United Defense Council buzzed with angry voices. The footage of Valor Prime's destruction played on repeat on the massive screens, a constant reminder of their failure to protect their allies. Military officers, politicians, and scientists sat around the circular table, their faces lit by the blue glow of holographic displays. They killed billions. General Roberts slammed his fist on the table. The Council didn't even give them a chance to surrender. Admiral Walker stood at the front of the room, his uniform still wrinkled from his rushed journey from the observation post. The Valorans knew this might happen. That's why they helped us prepare. The room fell silent. Defense Minister Thompson nodded slowly and pressed a button on the table. The screens changed to show massive underground facilities hidden throughout Earth's solar system. Inside these secret bases, rows of warships waited. Vessels that looked nothing like the civilian ships Earth showed to the rest of the galaxy. Project Phoenix, Thompson said. 20 years of secret development, combining Valoran technology with human military expertise. The Valorans knew the Council might turn on them. They made sure we would be ready. The screens showed close-ups of the ships. They were beautiful in a deadly way, their dark hulls covered in patterns that could bend light and sensor readings. Unlike the sleek, silver Council ships, these vessels were built for war, not show. How many? Someone asked. 500 combat-ready ships, Thompson replied. Another 300 nearly complete, each one carrying weapons the Council has never seen before. The Valorans gave us their technology, but we're the ones who turned it into weapons. Captain Maria Torres watched the screens with fierce attention. She had spent the last 5 years training on simulator versions of these ships, preparing for a war she hoped would never come. Now that war was here, and her anger burned cold and steady, a new message flashed across the screens. Speaking of the Council, Thompson said grimly, they just sent their demands. The message was typical Council arrogance. Earth must submit to Council authority. All advanced technology must be surrendered. Any resistance would be met with the same response as Valor Prime. They gave Earth 48 hours to reply. They think we're weak, Torres said, speaking up for the first time. They think without the Valorans, we're helpless. Walker nodded. The Council never understood why the Valorans chose us as allies. They think we're just primitive beings who got lucky. Then let's show them how wrong they are. Thompson stood up and looked around the room. The Phoenix fleet is ready. We've trained for this. The only question is, do we strike first, or wait for them to come to us? The room erupted in discussion. Some wanted immediate revenge, while others urged caution. Torres listened to both sides, but her mind was already made up. When the argument died down, she spoke again. The Council expects us to either surrender or try to defend Earth, she said. They don't expect us to attack. Their supply lines are open, their flanks unguarded. They think we're trapped in our solar system. Walker smiled for the first time since watching Valor Prime die. Captain Torres is right. The Council's arrogance is their weakness. They don't know about our ships, our weapons, or our real capabilities. Thompson nodded and turned to Torres. Captain, how would you like to command the EWS Retribution? She's our most advanced ship, and you've scored highest in the combat simulations. Torres stood straighter. It would be my honor, sir. Then it's decided, Thompson said. We launch before their deadline. Hit their supply lines first, then their communication hubs. Show them that humanity is not to be underestimated. As the meeting ended and officers rushed to their posts, Walker caught Torres by the arm. The Valorans believed in us, he said quietly. They knew humanity had something special, not just the ability to fight, but the will to stand up against tyranny. Don't just fight for revenge. Fight for everything they taught us. Torres nodded, her eyes hard but determined. In 12 hours, she would lead the first strike against the Galactic Council. They had thought killing the Valorans would leave Earth defenseless. Instead, they had created an enemy unlike any they had faced before. An enemy that combined advanced alien technology with humanity's ancient talent for warfare. The Council was about to learn why the Valorans had chosen humanity as their allies. They were about to learn what happens when you push a species that had spent its entire history preparing for war. The EWS Retribution dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Arcturus system. Captain Torres watched the tactical display as 5 more Earth ships appeared behind her. The Council's massive supply depot floated ahead, its defenders unaware of what was about to happen. All ships reporting ready, her tactical officer said quietly. Stealth systems holding. They haven't spotted us. Torres allowed herself a small smile. The Council's arrogance had made them lazy. They thought Earth's ships couldn't travel this far. They thought their sensor networks were unbeatable. They were wrong on both counts. Begin attack pattern Delta, Torres ordered. Remember your training. Show them what Earth can do. The Earth ships moved with deadly grace. Unlike the Council's rigid formations, each vessel chose its own approach vector, using the system's asteroid field for cover. The Retribution led the charge, its hybrid engines running silent. The first Council ship exploded before it could raise its shields. The Retribution's main guns, built with modified Valoran technology, cut through its hull like paper. The Council had never seen weapons that combined human and Valoran science this way. Multiple Council ships launching, the tactical officer reported. Their shields are up, but they're still using standard frequencies. Torres nodded. Deploy the phase shifters. Let's show them another surprise. Earth's scientists had spent years studying Council shield technology. The Valorans had helped them understand its weaknesses. Now, special devices on the Earth ships shifted their weapons to frequencies the Council shields couldn't block. The space around the supply depot turned into chaos. Council ships tried to form their usual battle lines, but Earth vessels refused to play by their rules. Each human captain had trained to think independently, to adapt and improvise. Council command ship is trying to coordinate their defense, communications reported. They're broadcasting on all standard channels. Time to use our secret weapon, Torres said. She pressed a button on her command chair. All ships, deploy the electronic warfare package. The Valorans had been masters of communication technology. Combined with Earth's expertise in cyber warfare, it created a devastating effect. Council ships suddenly lost contact with each other. Their carefully planned responses fell apart. Their formation is breaking, Tactical reported with satisfaction. 3 Council ships destroyed. 2 more heavily damaged. They're starting to retreat. Torres watched as a Council cruiser tried to escape, only to run straight into a trap set by 2 Earth destroyers. The Council ship's shields flickered and died as special jammers overwhelmed them. Moments later, the cruiser broke apart under concentrated fire. Supply depot defenses are down, Tactical announced. We have a clear shot at their fuel storage. Torres looked at the tactical display. The Council had lost 6 ships, with 3 more running away. Earth's fleet hadn't lost a single vessel. The hybrid shields, combining Valoran defense technology with human power management, had easily absorbed everything the Council threw at them. Target the fuel tanks, she ordered. Let's make sure they remember this day. The Retribution's main guns fired again. The massive fuel storage tanks exploded one after another, creating a chain reaction that tore through the supply depot. Secondary explosions lit up space like artificial stars. Message from Earth Command, communication said. Other strike teams reporting similar success. Council supply lines are in chaos across 3 sectors. Torres watched the burning wreckage of the supply depot. The Council would learn about this attack soon. They would learn that Earth wasn't defenseless without the Valorans. They would learn that humanity had teeth. Send word to all ships, she ordered. Mission accomplished. Fall back to Rally Point Beta. As the Earth fleet disappeared back into faster-than-light travel, they left behind more than just destruction. They left fear in the hearts of their enemies. The Council had thought humans were primitive beings who got lucky with Valoran help. Now they would understand that humanity had taken that help and turned it into something new, something deadly. Message coming in from Admiral Walker. Communications reported as they reached safe space. Similar attacks successful across 12 targets. The Council's response time was exactly what we predicted. They never saw us coming. Torres allowed her crew a moment to celebrate. This was just the beginning, but it was a good beginning. The Council had thought killing the Valorans would leave Earth helpless. Instead, it had awakened a sleeping giant, and this giant had 20 years of Valoran technology, combined with thousands of years of human warfare experience. The Phoenix fleet had risen from the ashes of Valor Prime, and it was hungry for revenge. The Draconian war chief stood nearly 9 feet tall, his scaled skin reflecting the light of 3 moons through the meeting room's windows. He studied the hologram showing Earth's recent victories against the Council with intense golden eyes. "You fight well for such a young species," the war chief said, his translator converting the growls into clear speech. "The Council told us humans were primitive savages. They lied about that, just as they lied about many things." Captain Torres kept her face neutral, though inside she felt relief. 3 weeks of careful negotiations had led to this moment. The Draconians were feared warriors, but the Council had kept them isolated, spreading rumors about their violent nature to other species. "The Council fears any species that can challenge them," Torres replied. "That's why they killed our Valoran friends. That's why they keep your people restricted to these outer systems." The war chief's tail moved slowly, a sign of deep thought in his species. Behind him, other Draconian leaders watched the replay of Earth ships tearing through Council defenses. The hybrid technology that combined Valoran science with human military innovation had proven devastatingly effective. "You offer us weapons," the war chief said, "but more importantly, you offer us truth and freedom." He turned to his council. They communicated in their native language, a series of growls and clicks that the translators didn't bother converting. Admiral Walker stood quietly beside Torres. After the success of their first strikes against the Council, Earth had begun reaching out to other oppressed species. The Draconians were the strongest potential allies, but making contact had been dangerous. The Council had monitors everywhere. Finally, the war chief turned back. "The Draconian Empire will fight with Earth. Our ships and warriors are yours to command. But we have one condition." "Name it," Walker said. "When this war is over, when the Council falls, all species must have an equal voice in what comes next. No more emperors claiming to rule the galaxy. No more lies about who is primitive and who is advanced." Torres smiled. "War Chief, that's exactly what the Valorans taught us. Every species has something to offer. Together, we're stronger than alone." The agreement was sealed in the traditional Draconian way, with a feast. As Torres watched the massive warriors celebrate their new alliance, she received an urgent message from Earth Command. More species were reaching out, inspired by Earth's success and the Draconians' support. The rock miners of Beltar, experts in gathering rare minerals, wanted to join. The winged singers of the Spiral Arm, masters of space navigation, offered their services. Even the mysterious Shadow Walkers, known for their stealth technology, sent careful messages of support. "The Council's biggest mistake," Walker said quietly, watching the celebrations, "was thinking fear could hold an empire together forever. They forgot that hope is stronger than fear." Torres nodded, remembering the Valoran teachings about unity and cooperation. The Council spent thousands of years keeping species afraid of each other. It took them destroying Valor Prime to finally unite everyone against them. The next few days were a blur of diplomatic meetings and strategic planning. Earth shared its hybrid technology with trusted allies while receiving new innovations in return. The rock miners provided special minerals that made ship armor nearly impenetrable. The winged singers taught navigation tricks that made Earth's vessels even harder to track. But most importantly, information began flowing freely between allied species. Centuries of council lies began unraveling. Species that had been told they were alone in resisting council rule discovered many potential friends. Torres stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching allied ships practicing formation maneuvers. Preconian war cruisers flew alongside Earth vessels, their crews learning to work together. Smaller, faster ships from other species darted between them, forming a combat screen. The council's facing internal pressure now, Walker's hologram reported during the daily briefing. Some of their own member species are questioning everything. Our intelligence suggests their unity is cracking. Torres watched a winged singer ship demonstrate its incredible maneuverability. The council thought killing the Valorans would stop their message of cooperation from spreading, she said. Instead, they turned that message into a war cry. The Allied fleet grew stronger every day. But more importantly, the fear that had kept species isolated and controlled was disappearing. Earth hadn't just started a war, it had sparked a revolution. And revolutions, once started, were impossible to stop. The holographic map in the war room showed hundreds of red dots representing council ships moving toward what they thought was Earth's main fleet. Admiral Walker watched with satisfaction as the council forces gathered exactly where he wanted them. The false transmissions worked perfectly, Captain Torres said, standing beside him. They think they found our hidden base in the spiral arm. All those empty ships broadcasting fake signals pulled them right in. Walker nodded. The deception had taken months to prepare. Empty automated ships, old freighters rigged with special transmitters, and careful leaks of false information. Humanity's talent for trickery was proving just as valuable as their weapons. Report from the Shadow Walkers, a communications officer announced. Council ships are responding exactly as predicted. They're convinced our main fleet is gathering for a big push. The Council's massive fleet moved slowly through space, following carefully planted clues. They didn't know that the real Earth fleet, now joined by their alien allies, was moving into position behind them. The Draconians are in position, Torres reported, checking her tablet. Their war chief says his warriors are eager to spring the trap. The winged singers have mapped every escape route the Council might try to use. Walker smiled grimly. The Council thinks they're so ancient and wise. They've forgotten that sometimes the oldest tricks are the best ones. Send the signal to begin Phase 2. Across 50 star systems, carefully planned events began unfolding. Automated distress calls from empty ships drew Council patrols into ambushes. False reports of rebellion on Council worlds forced them to split their forces. The Council's commanders, used to having perfect information, found themselves chasing shadows. Message from Earth Intelligence, the communications officer said. 3 more Council member species have secretly contacted us. They want to join our side when we strike. The Council's iron grip on the galaxy was weakening. Species that had been afraid to resist were finding their courage. Every Council failure, every lost ship, every successful ambush showed that the mighty Council wasn't invincible after all. Launch the virus, Walker ordered. It was time for the next phase of the plan. Earth's computer experts, working with tech-savvy species from across the galaxy, had created something special. A virus that could slit through Council communications networks, scrambling their coordination. But its real purpose was even more devious. Virus is spreading through their network, Technical reported. Their ships are receiving the false fleet orders now. Half their battle groups are about to start fighting each other. Torres watched as the Council fleet broke into confusion. Their own computers were now feeding them false information, making friendly ships appear as enemies. In the chaos, they didn't notice the real attack force moving into position. All ships report ready, Combat Control announced. Draconian warfleet standing by. Winged Singer squadrons in attack position. Rock miner heavy cruisers powered up. Walker took a deep breath. This was the moment they had planned for. The Council's fleet was trapped, their communications in chaos, their forces scattered across the galaxy chasing phantoms. "Send the signal," he ordered. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Phoenix." The combined fleet struck like lightning. Earth ships led the charge, their hybrid weapons tearing through confused Council vessels. Draconian war cruisers smashed through enemy formations, while winged Singer ships darted between them, picking off targets with surgical precision. Council ships trying to retreat, Tactical reported with satisfaction. But they're running right into the rock miners' blockade. No escape routes left. The Council's mighty fleet, pride of their empire, was being torn apart. Ships that tried to surrender were captured. Those that fought were destroyed. The Council's military backbone was being broken in a single massive battle. Message from their flagship, Communications announced. "They're demanding to know how we did this, how we tricked them so completely." Walker thought about the Valorans, about their gentle wisdom, and their warning about the Council's arrogance. "Tell them," he said quietly, "that they should have studied Earth's history more carefully. Tell them they should have learned that humans don't just fight with weapons. We fight with our minds." The battle continued, but its outcome was already certain. The Council had built their power on fear and control of information. They never understood that humans had spent their entire history learning to fight, deceive, and outsmart stronger enemies. They never understood that killing the Valorans hadn't weakened humanity. It had just made them more determined to win. The Council's primary military installation hung in space like a metal star, its massive defense platforms bristling with weapons. Captain Torres stood on the bridge of the Retribution, watching the final preparations for Operation Redemption. This was the moment everything had led to. "All Allied fleets reporting ready," her tactical officer announced. "Draconian war fleet in position. Wing Singer squadrons standing by. Rock miner heavy ships armed and waiting." Torres nodded, checking the tactical display one last time. The combined fleet was the largest ever assembled against the Council, over 2,000 ships from 20 different species, each bringing their own unique strengths to the battle. Message from Admiral Walker, Communications said. "The Council's home fleet is exactly where our intelligence said they would be. They're still reeling from our deception campaign. Half their ships are trapped in the wrong sectors, chasing our phantom fleets." The Council's mighty fortress had never fallen in 10,000 years. Its defenses were legendary, its shields supposedly unbreakable. But they had never faced anything like this before. A united fleet of formerly oppressed species, led by humans who had turned Valoran peace technology into weapons of war. "All ships, begin attack pattern Omega," Torres ordered. "Remember the plan. Remember the Valorans." The battle began with a surprise. Instead of charging straight in, the Allied fleet split into smaller groups. Winged Singer ships darted forward, their incredible speed and maneuverability drawing the Council's fire. Behind them, rock miner vessels used their specialized sensors to map the fortress's shield frequencies. "First wave of Council ships launching," Tactical reported. "They're forming up in standard combat patterns." Torres smiled grimly. The Council never learned. They still fought the same way they had for thousands of years, using tactics that everyone knew. That predictability was now their weakness. "Draconian war fleet, you may begin your attack run," she ordered. The massive Draconian ships charged forward, their thick armor absorbing Council fire. But instead of engaging directly, they released clouds of small, fast attack craft, a tactic they had learned from studying Earth's old aircraft carrier battles. "Council formation is breaking," Tactical reported with satisfaction. They're not used to dealing with this many different attack styles at once. The Council's commanders tried to coordinate their defense, but each alien fleet fought differently. Winged Singers danced through their lines, too fast to hit. Draconian fighters swarmed their capital ships. Rock miner vessels absorbed impossible amounts of damage while targeting shield generators. "Main fortress shields at 60%, Technical announced. Rock miners have mapped all the frequencies. Transmitting data to the fleet now. Torres keyed her command channel. All Earth ships, prepare primary weapons. Time to show them what humanity brought to this fight. The Earth fleet had held back until now, waiting for this moment. Now they moved forward as one, their hybrid weapons powered up. The Council was about to learn why humans had spent 20 years carefully studying and modifying Valoran technology. Fire. The combined blast from 50 Earth ships hit the fortress's shields at exactly the right frequencies. The supposedly unbreakable defense cracked like glass. Behind them, the rest of the Allied fleet pressed their attack, each species executing their part of the carefully planned assault. Multiple Council ships trying to surrender, communications reported. 3 of their defense platforms are powering down. Their command center is asking for terms. Torres watched as more Council ships lowered their shields. The mighty fortress, heart of their military power, was falling, not just to superior weapons, but to the combined tactics and technologies of species they had dismissed as primitive. Message from their command center. Communications said, their military governor wants to know. He wants to know how they lost to lesser species they had ruled for so long. Torres thought about all the worlds the Council had oppressed, all the species they had kept down through fear and lies. She thought about the Valorans, who had seen humanity's potential when the Council saw only savages. Tell them, she said quietly, that they lost because they forgot the most important lesson in warfare. Never underestimate your enemy. And never, ever make humanity angry. The battle wasn't over, but its outcome was clear. The Council's main military installation, their proudest fortress, was falling to an alliance they had never thought possible. Species that had once feared them now fought confidently, using tactics learned from humans. As the surrender signals multiplied across her tactical display, Torres sent a silent thank you to the Valorans. Their sacrifice had not been in vain. Their dream of a galaxy united not by fear, but by cooperation and mutual respect, was about to become reality. The Council capital world looked small from orbit. Admiral Walker watched it through the Retribution's main viewport, remembering how the Valorans had once described this place. A beautiful world, they had said, corrupted by the arrogance of its rulers. The last Council ships have powered down their weapons, Captain Torres reported. Their orbital defenses are offline. They're asking for terms of surrender. The combined fleet of Earth and its allies surrounded the planet. Draconian warships flew alongside human vessels. Winged Singer squadrons patrolled the outer edges. Rockminer heavy cruisers held position near the main space stations. The Council's last stronghold was completely surrounded. Send them our terms, Walker ordered. Unconditional surrender. All Council leaders to face trial for their crimes. No negotiations. The response came quickly. The Council, for the first time in its long history, had no choice but to submit. Their military was broken, their member worlds were in revolt, and their web of lies had finally fallen apart. Earth shuttles descended to the surface, carrying soldiers and diplomats. The Council chambers, built to show their power and authority, now felt empty and cold. The Council leaders, who had ordered the destruction of Valor Prime, sat in chains. In the name of Earth and all our allies, Walker addressed the assembly, his voice firm. You are charged with genocide, oppression, and crimes against sentient beings. You will face trial before representatives of every species you have wronged. The Council leader tried to maintain his dignity. We ruled the galaxy for 10,000 years. We kept order. We prevented wars. What gives you the right to judge us? The right of justice, Walker replied. The right of every species you kept down, every world you oppressed, every life you destroyed. The Valorans saw a better way. Cooperation instead of domination. You killed them for it, but their dream lived on through us. The trials took weeks. Evidence was presented from hundreds of worlds. Species that had suffered under Council rule for millennia finally spoke freely. The truth of the Council's long reign of terror was exposed for all to see. Torres stood with Walker in the Great Hall where the verdicts were read. The council leaders were found guilty of all charges. They would spend the rest of their lives imprisoned on a remote world, guarded by ships from every species they had wronged. But punishment was only the beginning. Representatives from all allied species gathered to discuss the future. The Draconians, the Winged Singers, the Rock Miners, everyone had a voice. Earth led the discussions, but did not dominate them. "We propose a new federation," Walker announced to the gathered species, "not ruled by fear and lies, but built on mutual respect and cooperation. Every species will have an equal voice. Technology and knowledge will be shared freely. The strong will help the weak grow stronger." The new federation took shape quickly. The alliances forged in war became partnerships for peace. Former council worlds joined willingly, seeing the benefits of true cooperation. Trade routes opened. Cultural exchanges began. The galaxy started to heal. 1 month after the trials, Torres stood with Walker on a new world, one chosen to be the capital of the Federation. It was a beautiful planet with purple skies and silver clouds. The Valorans would have loved it. "Construction begins next week," Torres said, looking at the plans for the new government buildings. "The main assembly hall will be called Valor Hall in their memory. Every species will have an embassy here." Walker nodded, watching ships from different species landing and taking off. Former enemies now worked together, sharing knowledge and resources. The Valorans' dream of a united galaxy had finally come true, though not in the way anyone had expected. The Council thought killing the Valorans would keep humanity weak and isolated, Walker said quietly. Instead, they sparked a revolution that united the galaxy. The Valorans taught us about peace and cooperation. We taught everyone else how to fight for those ideals. As the sun set, casting the new capital in shades of gold and purple, ships from Earth and their alien allies patrolled the skies together. The age of the Council was over. A new era had begun, one built not on fear and domination, but on the combined strengths of all species working together. Somewhere, Walker hoped, the Valorans were watching. Their sacrifice had led to something greater than anyone could have imagined. Humanity had not just avenged their friends, they had fulfilled their dream of a truly united galaxy.